This is the iPhone 5C and this is the iPhone XR. Both are colorful mid-range iPhones, although the 5C was introduced in 2013, while the XR was introduced in 2018, so there have been quite a few advances. Both come in many different color options, at least for the back. With all of the color options, they are black in the front. The iPhone XR has a much larger display than the 5C, at 6.1 inches compared to 4 inches. To do this, Apple made the bezel smaller and the phone bigger. To make the bezel smaller, they got rid of the home button in exchange for a new home bar. The iPhone XR also has a notch for the speaker and front-facing camera. Interestingly, to make the bezel the same size on all sides, the iPhone XR also has a larger side bezel than the iPhone 5C. The back and sides of the iPhone 5C are made from plastic, while the sides of the iPhone XR are made from aluminum, and the back is made from glass. The iPhone 5C has a headphone jack, while the XR has had it removed. Apple also moved the sleep-wake button from the top of the phone to the side of the phone and made it larger to make it easier to access on a larger phone. Both have IPS displays at 326 pixels per inch pixel density. While the XR doesn't have the perfect blacks of an OLED display, it does have better blacks than the iPhone 5C. And overall, the contrast ratio is higher on the XR at 1400 to 1 compared to 800 to 1. The iPhone XR also does have a brighter display than the iPhone 5C, 625 nits max brightness compared to 500 nits, as well as offering HDR, which the iPhone 5C does not have. The display on the iPhone XR also has night shift, as well as True Tone, two features which the iPhone 5C does not have. While night shift was introduced as a software feature, it was only for 64-bit devices, which the iPhone 5C is not, although there will be more on that in the performance comparison.
The iPhone 5C had an 8-megapixel camera with an f2.4 aperture, while the iPhone XR had a 12-megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture. The iPhone 5C was capable of recording 1080p video at 30 frames per second, while the iPhone XR was capable of recording 4K video at 60 frames per second, as well as 1080p at 240 frames per second in slow motion. The iPhone XR also came with a 6-element lens, while the 5C came with a 5-element lens, and it added optical image stabilization, while the 5C only had digital image stabilization. The iPhone 5C came with the Apple A6, while the iPhone XR came with the Apple A12 Bionic. The A6 was a dual-core 1.3 GHz processor, while the A12 Bionic was a hexa-core 2.49 GHz processor, although the A12 Bionic used the Big Little architecture, which meant that there were 2 high-speed cores and 4 efficiency cores. The Apple A12 Bionic was also 64-bit, while the A6 was only a 32-bit processor, which means that the iPhone 5C cannot support any iOS versions 11 and up, and it also cannot support some of the more intense applications. The iPhone 5C also only comes with 1GB of RAM compared to 3GB on the iPhone XR, as well as in storage capacities of 8, 16, or 32GB compared to 64, 128, and 256GB on the iPhone XR.